This week on World Stories. Strong arm of the law, a female bouncer in India. Taking to the internet, orange growers in Spain. But first, to the West African country of Burkina Faso, where a young chemist has set himself a huge goal. In the next 3 years, he plans to save 100,000 people from dying of malaria using soap.
Dusk is hunting time for the world's deadliest insect. The Anopheles mosquito is responsible for malaria, a disease that kills nearly 1 million people each year. But now a young chemist has come up with an innovative way to fight both the mosquito and the disease. His ambitious goal is to save 100,000 lives by 2020. For decades, people in Africa have died of malaria. The disease is responsible for many problems here. I think it's important that we Africans ourselves find a solution. But that's not so easy. Each year, some $2 billion are invested in anti-malaria programs, but so far all attempts to eradicate the pathogen have failed. Many approaches are both expensive and impractical, says Gérard Nyondiko. He wants to do it differently, with a simple but effective weapon. We decided to work with soap because it's a product that can be easily integrated into people's everyday lives. Soap is used in 95% of all African households, including the poorest. Faso soap is not only an effective cleansing agent, its smell also repels mosquitoes. The protective function is based on a combination of essential oils obtained from local plants. At night, nets keep the mosquitoes at bay, but during the day and early evening, there's little protection. I'm a construction worker and am very exposed during working hours. I often get bitten, so it's hard not to get infected with malaria. Faso soap will cost no more than conventional soap and promises protection during the critical times of the day. Our goal is to provide 6 hours of protection. This would halve the risk of infection. The idea of creating an anti-malaria soap came to the chemist while studying for his master's degree in Ouagadougou. At university, we did courses on setting up a company, like how to design a product, what benefits it will bring, etc. It was an eye-opener. In early 2015, the project was at risk because there were no funds. Then a crowdfunding campaign brought in more than €70,000. I always tell myself if I can save 1 life or 2 or perhaps even 100,000, my greatest dream will come true. And the sooner it does, the better, because every 2 minutes a child still dies of malaria.
Delhi has the sad reputation of being India's rape capital. But there are examples of female self-determination. Meherunisa Shaukat Ali works for a hip club as a bouncer.
If you want to get in here, you need to get past her. Meet bouncer Meherunisa Shaukat Ali. She's worked at the popular social nightclub for 3 years. She takes a close look at who goes in, and especially what goes in. There are often problems. Guests get angry. They think we're being rude to them. They tell us not to touch their things. And that's when I have to call the manager. Meherunisa wanted to be a police officer. She likes protecting people. That's one reason she makes sure she stays fit and earns respect. Now she's a bouncer, which is an unusual job for an Indian woman. Men would stare at me, which I hated. But once they found out I was a bouncer, they were scared I'd beat them up. At home, she's the breadwinner and keeps the family afloat, like a son usually would. But it took her parents years to accept her chosen path in life and that she has no marriage plans. At first, she didn't even show her family her uniform, and when she did, my father got very angry. He said, "I didn't let your mother work, so why should you?" I had to explain to him what a bouncer does. Today, Dad, though, is very proud of Meherunisa, especially seeing how many people look up to her. She's even made it all the way into women's magazines, which is a whole different world for her father. I'm part of a society where women are not allowed out, not even onto their balconies, let alone get an education. I used to think like that too. In the conservative world of her father, Maharanisa Shaukat Ali would have long left her parents' home to care for the family of her husband. But instead of becoming a docile housewife, she's now a free spirit and a force to be reckoned with.
Among U.S. President Donald Trump's most vocal critics is surely the LGBT community. But of course, there are also homosexual Trump supporters. One of them is Scott Presler, co-founder of the organization Gays for Trump.
White, male, Christian, conservative. This is the stereotype of the Trump voter. And that is most of the faces you'll see in a Republican crowd. But Scott Presler is a little different. He is a young, vocal Trump supporter from Virginia, and he is gay. To those confused by Presler's support for Trump, Presler says we all need to stop assuming we know someone simply because of their identity.
We need to stop putting people into these boxes and categorizing them based on their gender or sexuality or religion. I need to be able to look at someone and say, that's a person, and I should talk to them whatever their color is.
At the Conservative Political Action Conference this year, Presler was a bit of a celebrity with tens of thousands of followers on social media. He's also the co-founder of the grassroots group Gays for Trump. Although the vast majority of LGBTQ Americans are still Democrats, Presler said the number of gay Republicans is growing, spurred by what he thinks is Trump's unvarnished view of the world.
Mr. Trump, he doesn't look at the world through rose-colored glasses. He looks and sees it for as it is. And, you know, when Mr. Trump talks about factories going overseas, when he talks about, you know, our military struggling, when he talks about people having a difficult time to even put food on their table, that's reality.
Even though being gay in America is strongly associated with being left-wing, there is a tradition of gay men within the GOP. They're called the Log Cabin Republicans. Presler came out to his conservative Catholic parents after the Orlando nightclub attacks. He wants the world to understand that even though he's gay, Trump's priorities match his.
He understands me. He understands that I want national security. I want jobs for our country. I want to put the American people first. He gets it. And I think he talks in a way that every person can understand. He talks in a way that he reaches us on a more personal level than just campaign rhetoric.
Presler is pleased with how Trump has governed so far, keeping his campaign promises and communicating directly with Americans rather than through the media, even despite what some might deem controversial behavior.
Our last stop this week is Spain. Orange growers there have long complained of low prices and harsh competition. Now, two brothers from Valencia are busy planning their own orange revolution, and sales are going up.
Orange trees as far as the eye can see. This is Naranches del Carmen plantation on Spain's Mediterranean coast. This plantation lay fallow for many years. Many citrus farmers in the Valencia region had thrown in the towel. But in the middle of the financial crisis, Gonzalo and Gabriel Urcolo ventured a new beginning. They call it their Orange Revolution.
In Europe today, we waste around 100 million tons of food a year. That's a third of the total production. That's why we harvest only in accordance with demand. The oranges we picked from the trees today will be in the homes of the people who ordered them in 2 days.
The two brothers sell only directly to consumers through the internet. With a cell phone or computer, customers all over Europe can order oranges right off the tree. That sounds easy, but it isn't always. They've now got their routine down pat. At harvest time, The Urculos send 10,000 kilos of oranges a day to customers in EU countries. And sales are increasing. Germany is the brothers' most important market. The two Spaniards have now taken another step forward. Anyone can become part of their orange revolution by buying a sapling by mouse click. They've patented this crowd farming idea. Each virtual farmer has a claim to part of his or her tree's yield and can follow the tree's growth on the farm's website.
Crowd farming allows people who live in big cities far away from nature to live out their inner farmer or gardener. Through us, they own their own little piece of nature in Spain.
But the brothers' new ideas haven't only made them friends. The big supermarket chains see the crowd farming in the orange grove as a threat.
It's obvious that some see us as an irritant. We're still small, but this direct connection between consumer and grower already angers some companies that make their money as middlemen. But I think there's room for everyone.
Operations are expanding fast at the Naranches del Carmen plantation, which now has a young team of 30 employees from 9 different countries. And the orange revolution has only just begun.